everyone, my name is Amanda R.N. Rockwell. I write, read, and review vampire fiction. Welcome to a new series of videos I'm calling Writing Vampires, where we discuss, you guessed it, writing about vampires. That sounded a lot better in my head. In this first video, we are talking about 7 vampire myths in folklore in no particular order. Because, you know, the whole vampire thing didn't just start when vampires entered the realm of published fiction. Why 7? It's my favorite number. Humor me. Before we begin, a small clarification. A creature doesn't just have to consume blood to make this list. Any creature that consumes something that a living being requires in order to survive is considered a vampire. Number 1, the Kappa. The Kappa is a yokai, a class of supernatural creature from Japanese folklore. It's amphibious and human-like in shape, about the size of a child, with webbed hands and feet, and a carapace on their back that resembles the shell of a turtle. They also have a depression on the top of their head, referred to as a dish, that carries water or some other sort of liquid, and this dish must be full when they are away from water. If the dish is damaged or the liquid is otherwise somehow lost, the Kappa may be severely weakened and possibly even die. The Kappa will sometimes drink the blood of their victims, but it's generally not what they're primarily after. It is said that humans have a Shirikodama, a mystical ball that contains a person's soul, which is believed to be located in the anus. Kappa try to take the Shirikodama in order to make themselves stronger. The Kappa is known to be mischievous and is actually capable of a great many twisted things. However, unlike the other entries on this list, a Kappa can indeed be befriended, and it will go out of its way to help its allies. Each year at festivals, Japanese people make offerings of cucumber in order to appease them, as it is believed that a cucumber is one of a Kappa's favorite foods. In terms of combating a Kappa, there's generally 2 ways to do this: bowing or tests of strength or skill. The idea in both cases is that your goal is to make the Kappa drop the liquid from the dish on its head, which of course severely weakens it and makes it vulnerable. Entry number 2 is the Draugr. The Draugr are undead creatures from Norse mythology that live in the graves of dead warriors. They can be easily recognized by their pale or blue skin and the reek of decay that always follows them. They are believed to be very strong and can change the sizes of their bodies at will. Victims are usually killed by being crushed to death or driven mad, after which the Draugr will drain them of their blood and eat their flesh. A blood-drained victim that is not eaten has the chance of becoming a Draugr themselves. Methods to prevent the dead from rising as a Draugr at a funeral include placing a pair of open iron scissors on the chest of the corpse, concealing sharp twigs or pieces of straw inside the clothing, and putting needles through the soles of the feet or tying the feet together to make it difficult for the Draugr to walk. While bringing the coffin out of the house, the bearers would raise or lower it in multiple directions in an attempt to confuse the corpse within. By far the most effective method of prevention is something called the corpse door. It was believed that a Draugr could only re-enter a residence the same way it departed. So a special door would be built into the house specifically to take the coffin with the corpse out, and once it was removed from the residence, the door would then be replaced by a brick wall, thereby robbing the Draugr of its ability to return. For number 3, we have the Strigoi. The Strigoi is from Romanian mythology. They are known to be able to shapeshift into animals and turn invisible, and there's actually a few different types of Strigoi. The one generally referred to as a Strigoi is a male vampire or ghost that drinks blood. The female equivalent of the word is Strigoika. Moroi is a male vampire or ghost that consumes energy for sustenance. Female equivalent of the word is Moroika. Each of the 2 categories, there are 2 different types, of which we're going to use the Strigoi as an example of this. The Strigoi V, or Moroi V, are the living vampires, and the Strigoi Mort, or Moroi Mort, are the undead vampires. There were several conditions that were believed to be ripe for creating a Strigoi, which include being the 7th child of the same sex in a family, leading a life of sin, death before marriage, death by execution for perjury, or death from a witch's curse. Methods of preventing a corpse from rising again as a Strigoi include removing the heart and cutting it in half, driving a nail through the forehead, placing a clove of garlic underneath the tongue, turning the corpse face down in the grave, and burning the corpse with a bottle of wine or whiskey. For number 4, we have the Ghoul. The Ghoul may be more known for those who play Dungeons & Dragons. but its roots are from the belief systems that existed in ancient Arabia prior to the rise of Islam. In Arabian folklore, the Ghoul, for male, or Ghula for female, were believed to travel at night and inhabit graveyards, deserts, and other uninhabitable places. They are capable of taking on a human form and are identified by their lack of appetite during the day and their tendency to wander off at night. They would go rest in hidden graves and wake to feed on the flesh and blood of both the living and the dead. The female ghouls were particularly feared because of their ability to turn into a normal human woman, both for bearing children and for ensnaring unsuspecting admirers. An Arabian folktale describes a young husband who discovers that his wife is a ghoul. She attempts to kill him the night she discovers this by drinking his blood. He succeeds in killing her by dealing a heavy blow to the head and burying her corpse, only for her to come back 3 days later to try and kill him again. The day following, he had her corpse dug up, burned, and the ashes scattered to the wind, so she could never rise again. For number 5, we have the Dhampir, or Dampire, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Most people who are at least somewhat familiar with vampires know what a Dhampir is, or has at least heard the term before. In the video game series Blood Rain, the protagonist Rain is a Dhampir, as is Blade from Marvel Comics. But what is a Dhampir exactly? A Dhampir is a half-human, half-vampire hybrid being of Slavic origin that is believed to be the result of a union between a human woman and a vampire male. Their unique lineage is said to give them the powers of a vampire, with most, if not all, the weaknesses removed, making them very suited for hunting vampires. They were both greatly respected and greatly feared, and were often hired by communities in order to weed out a vampire infestation. Even if the hunter for whatever reason couldn't actually kill the vampire, they were still believed to be proficient in driving the vampire out. Either way, the Dhampir would collect a rather large fee from the community for their services. So, naturally, there were people who took advantage of the fears and superstitions of the public and pretended to be Dhampirs just to get money, because people are assholes. For number 6, we have the Vjesci. In northeast Poland, the Vjesci was someone who was preordained from birth to become a vampire. But what was the sign of this? The very rare occurrence of being born with a caul, a membrane that covers the head and face. The only known way of saving that person from their fate was having the caul removed, dried, ground, and fed to them on their 7th birthday. Aside from this, they didn't look any different from a regular person, though some accounts dispute this. Ways of preventing a Vjesci from rising after death include all people on their deathbed being given the Eucharist. Soil would be placed inside and underneath the body in the coffin to prevent it from returning home. A coin or crucifix would be placed under the tongue of the corpse for it to suck on. A net would occasionally be placed inside the coffin, as it was believed that the knots had to be untied at a rate of 1 knot per day before the corpse would be able to rise from the coffin. And the bodies would be placed face down on the bottom of the coffin, so when they did wake up, they would instead dig further into the earth and then rise out. We have number 7, our final one, the Asanbosam. Also known as Asanbosam, it is a vampire-like creature originating from the folklore from the Caribbean, particularly Ghana, the Ivory Coast, and Togo. It is said to take the form of a man, woman, or child. It has iron teeth, pink skin, long red hair, and hooks for feet. They hide in the trees and attack their victims from above, and store their victims up in the trees for when they need them. When they do need to drink the blood of their victims, they do it through the thumb. Though generally interpreted as a vampire, mythical interpretations of the creature are more the archetypical ogre-type beasts that you see in fantasy and whatnot. There you have it, 7 vampires from mythology and folklore. If you're looking for an inspiration, maybe this will help you out. Otherwise, I hope you learned something new today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I post a new one every Tuesday. Follow me in the social media. I have it all linked in the description below. Thank you for watching. Bye!